Good
Hello.
morning.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, Phil, our lithium mining expert. Welcome back.
Yes, I am
We're so
here
glad to have you
to
here.
give you all of the lithium information that you will ever need to know, and maybe then some.
Oh, I can't wait. I tuned in just for that, Phil.
Just
Oh my
yeah.
God, I should just leave now. See, Ray.
Uh,
Well, I do know Nevada is doing really well in the lithium, and as is Texas. So
before we get started, I do have to ask a question. You know, I know like I'm the scheduled co-host for this show, and I know that my son takes a veritable beating in comments for his clickbaity thumbnails and titles for live streams that we do. And I saw the title of today's show like 6 minutes ago. What the hell are we talking about? California waves goodbye to EVs. Come on, man. I mean, did you take an advanced course in clickbaity titles?
I am always in competition with Zach to see who can have the most clickbaity title.
I think you
So,
won. I think this week you won. Hands down.
I do try. I do try hard. Was last week, no, week before last, we had the most clickbaity title that had absolutely no substance. That was my goal on that one. We could have
Yes.
talked about anything that week, that episode, because it meant nothing. So yeah.
All right, so I mean, we've got to be able to now talk about why California is waving goodbye. We have to hold up to this clickbait here,
Yeah,
Mr. Justice.
Absolutely. So I mean, so we already know that Tesla moved on, right? Moved their headquarters over to Texas. They moved some of the R&D back over here to the old IBM, but you know, they moved their headquarters. We see Rivian, you know, born in California, but they're not building here. They're building in North Carolina. North Carolina is getting the Toyota battery plant, right? Was it $2.1 billion from Toyota?
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, just 2.1 billion for the battery plant there. Rivian's over there. You got Polestar somewhere over there going in. You got, what does Georgia have? Georgia has
Georgia has
Tennessee.
Rivian coming in, and they
Rivian,
have don't they have a battery plant coming in as well?
Yeah, I think they do. And Tennessee has the ID4 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, over there. Hyundai in
They're in Alabama.
They're in Alabama. Are they in Alabama?
I think so. Yeah.
So basically, the point was, everywhere moving in is moving into red states. All the manufacturing, all the battery manufacturing, all the partnerships are running through the red states. Even up near Phil there in Michigan is the Rust Belt is going green.
Wow.
They're starting to produce all kinds of EV stuff. So, you know, it's a real shift, I think, in the economy. There's a lot of manufacturing sort of coming back. A lot of these places were manufacturing in Mexico and Canada, right? And now they're starting to build back again in the U.S., which I'm not 100% sure why on that, since like for the IRA stuff, Mexico and Canada are our partners. So, you know, and they're part of North America.
Yeah. Last time I checked.
Yeah, it wouldn't discount them from any of the rebates, but there is a lot of push to get these companies to come to these red states. And I just found that really fascinating when you sort of think about who's pushing back against yes, Rory, thank you. I knew I was missing someone. VinFast in North Carolina as well.
Okay. Yes.
Again, the very first VinFast stores in California, but they're manufacturing them in North Carolina. So it's interesting when you look at the people who are the senators who are out there and saying no EVs and don't force us. And then they go back home to their states and they're like, yeah, come build your EV over here.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar business, right? To bring revenue to the state. You know, I mean, I know all the red states are, against the whole green movement and the EV forecast of that, but I mean, look, it's lucrative, and they're seeing it.
Yeah, and I did on a side note, I do want to bring this up. I am not in the San Francisco district. How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Oh boy, Igor.
I am in Sacramento, which is worse in a whole different way. But I am not. But I am not in the San Francisco district, as much as they'd like me to be.
Man, can you hear them banging next door?
A little, like I heard them right before you spoke, just barely though. It's
okay.
It's not all that loud for us. I know.
Okay, good.
I know it is for you.
Well, I don't know that it's more annoying than it is loud, because it just sounds like Morse code.
What are they trying to tell you, Ray? Get out.
Probably, yes.
But outsider reviews is right. Californians want to buy the EVs, but the state is not business friendly. We know that. We've known that. Even Hollywood is picked up and mostly moved out of here. Silicon Valley is moving out in droves. It just is what it is here. Like
Texas and Georgia picking up most of that, right?
Yeah. Well, and North Carolina.
Yeah.
Right. Don't forget, North Carolina is getting Meta, Apple, and IBM brand new campuses out in the Raleigh-Durham area. They already have all the biotech, and now they're getting the EV. So a lot of them are moving out to North Carolina. So if you're in the Raleigh-Durham area, soon you too will be like the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh.
Is it because it's the cost of employees is so much cheaper in those areas than it would be in California?
Yeah, the cost of living is like a fraction of what it is to live in California.
Yeah.
Cost of living, it's the cost of land, taxes, property taxes, business taxes. I mean, California has the highest business taxes outside of China. So like that there's something there. We have a lot of great consumer protection laws, but flip that side, they also hurt businesses. Like we just talked about before going on the air, State Farm and Allstate have both announced that they will no longer be providing homeowners insurance in the state of California because of the way California does business. That's two of the largest in the state, and they're just not going to do business here because they can't make money, and then the increased risk of fire, flood, earthquake, all that stuff. So they're going out. So, and I think with the EV stuff, it's the same thing. Businesses can find better places to do business. And in a world where everything is virtual, you don't need to be here. The Hollywood is primarily moved to Georgia. I don't know how much in Vegas, but they primarily moved to Georgia, and there's an enormous push to put them into Texas right now.
Yep.
I would say something, but they're banging away like crazy here. I wish they were moving somewhere in North Carolina. Oh my, it's noisy.
Stuart's got a point there too about Florida insurers too. It's tough down there.
Well, so Florida is the California of the East Coast. They may not be as leftist as California. They may not be leftist at all, but they're equally as wacko in the other direction, where they just let anybody do freaking anything down there and tell the consumer good luck. At least from what we see in the car stuff, and then I watch the stories about after the hurricanes and all the roofers and everyone coming through and ripping people off. And it seems like there's got to be a happy median somewhere. And maybe
It's hard to
North
get-
Carolina
it's hard
has
to get it
figured
down
that
there.
out. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they have. Yeah, I mean, when I lived in the Tampa area, it was very difficult to get insurance. Number one, because of sinkholes, number one, hurricanes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other is sinkholes. So that was a big deal down there too.
Yep, and Igor's right. Construction here is a nightmare. Tried to build a house for his daughter in L.A. County, which, I mean, yeah, I could have told you that. You can need to go down to Orange County, Igor. It's a lot more expensive, but at least you can get it done. Yeah, and you get shut halfway through. Yeah, halfway is good. You're doing well. I've seen permanently built structures that get their permits pulled in
Ugh.
California.
Sucks.
So yeah, it gets crazy.
Well, I'm so glad I live in New Jersey because it's such a
Yeah,
lovely
yeah.
state.
Jersey, as so well known for its business-friendly practices too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I was thinking more along the lines of up in the Toms River area, where it was just a great area for where, I don't know, the mob would dispose of bodies and stuff. Not that there's such a thing as the mob.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, right?
I'm not saying I knew anybody in the mob.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any of them had been my customers when I ran the Nissan dealership outside of Atlantic City. But yeah, it's a lovely state for that.
That's just a Hollywood invention, don't you know that? There is no such thing as the mob.
Yeah. So what else are we talking about today?
So
how about startups?
Yeah.
How about some EV startups?
Who do we got on the EV startups, Phil? You're the lithium expert. Who do we got?
Boy, Rivian, right?
Yeah,
And we got
Rivian
Lucid.
still. Well, I know I have my doubts on whether Lucid is going to make it to 2025. I really do. The more I watch that company, the more I'm like, because Rivian is a startup that is still sort of heading in the right direction. They have issues, but I don't see Lucid like. Yeah, I just can't. So what do you think, Ray? You follow these guys?
Well, I looked at the list of startups, and I was instantly struck by the fact that most of them probably won't make it. I mean, instantly struck by that fact. The first one on the list was Rivian. Rivian's a great idea, and they haven't been able to build vehicles in any quantity whatsoever. Every time they have a forecast for the number of vehicles they're going to produce, if they hit 20% of that projected number, they had a good year. And the projected number might have been 50,000, and maybe they've produced 10. So, I know they have so many outstanding orders and this and that, but if you can't build stuff, then you can't sell stuff.
Yeah.
It's really just kind of that simple. If you want to figure out a way to blow through billions of investor dollars, they seem to be doing a real good job of that. And then I noticed the next company on the list was Fisker. Or not Fisker, excuse me, Lucid. Well, Lucid is like 10 times worse than Rivian. What did we figure out? They were losing $555,000 per vehicle sold. Yeah. And the good news was they had 1,400 orders on the order bank.
How that could be sustainable, Ray? Unless they got the money trees growing in their backyard, I don't know.
Yeah, so I looked at those two and I thought to myself, well, here's two that probably aren't really going to make it. And then I think the third one on the list was Fisker. And the Fisker Ocean looks like a really interesting vehicle that may never come out.
No, well, they're saying, in 17 days?
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
I mean,
and
that's a bold thing to say if you don't think you're actually going to be able to do it.
okay, so let's say they have some coming up. But I mean, here's the question to ask: how many other automotive builds has Fisker put together that have failed?
Oh, yeah,
Several.
yeah.
Okay, so but he keeps getting backing. So God bless him. He must know something. And so people keep investing in his companies. And literally, I believe I said to Mario, that ocean looks really interesting. I'm not talking the one you swim in. I'm talking about the Fisker Ocean. And I thought, my God, that could be a vehicle for Ray Shevska. Probably not, but
well, who knows? I mean, we have to wait for it to come out to see.
Yes,
yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I think it is very promising, especially if they can keep it under 40.
Yes,
I was just going to say that, Justice, and how they're going to. And I mean, look at the competition, right? Between Lucid and Rivian and their vehicles 70,000 plus, right? And they still can't make it at that level, right? So, like now we're talking about Fisker selling a car for under 40, and they're still I mean, if you want to call them still a startup, right? How they're going to do it? I know.
I mean, we'll say there's a lot of anticipation. I think their direct competition is the Model Y, and if they can keep it under 40,000, then they blow the Model Y out, right? I mean, they really do. So, that could take sales from Tesla, and I know they want that Model Y to continue to be the best-selling vehicle in the world. That's a lot of great press for them. So Fisker, I think, is their big competition in there.
Well, I think of the three that we've talked about so far, Fisker, in my heart of hearts, I hope is the most likely to succeed because they're actually trying to produce something below $40,000 and make that their entry point. And then one of the other companies that was in there was VinFast. Now, didn't we just discuss the other day, or maybe I discussed it with Zach? I do way too many shows.
It was on the other show. I know what you're going to say, but it was on the other show. Yeah.
So out of the first 999 cars that they've delivered, they've recalled them all. Yep. Okay. So.
And not an over-the-air software recall either.
Yeah.
So some of us don't believe is a real recall.
But the point is there's a company that's going nowhere fast. And even though fast is in their name, they really don't seem to be. They came out, there was this with such promise that we would have an affordable EV. Well, if you have to recall everyone you make, what the hell's the point?
Yeah, but Mark has a point here. They do have the deepest pockets of everybody on the list. They're a long time car maker in Vietnam.
Yes.
They've got money from their government being pushed into this because they want to be the next Hyundai Kia without the fire issues.
Well, I'm going to ask you a silly question. And you might not have the answer, but when did we as the world globally look at Vietnam and go, that's the automobile epicenter of the world. That's where all the great things in automotive are happening. When did that happen?
Yeah, but you remember, Ray, we thought that the same thing about South Korea, right? When Hyundai and Kia were just starting up and you're like, who would buy a Korean car? There's no way I would buy that. And then now, look at them now. I'm not saying VinFast is going to be here in 5 years, but I think they have a good shot. They're just starting up.
It kind of reminds me of the Yugo when they brought the Yugo to this country. It was like, who in their right mind's thinking to themselves, well, all the greatest things happening in automotive were happening in Yugoslavia. Everybody knows that. Okay. and well, that wasn't true. So And the difference between the South Korean brands and a brand from Vietnam is the South Korean brands were gas cars, ICE vehicles. They weren't trying to break into some newfangled new market that they hope to grow. This was a big market to begin with. EVs are this whole new type of adventure for people. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I when I think Vietnam, I don't think highest quality. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I just don't think of it, as the stuff that they're producing is the highest quality stuff. And based on some of the shirts that I have, they're not.
Well, I will say, Phil and I grew up in the 80s. And I know he probably remembers just as well as I do the anti-Japanese, they're not building quality vehicle push that happened then too, when they were trying to break through, and there's everyone remember that great movie Gung Ho with Michael Keaton, a whole movie about that, and it was about the quality and of course about American pride and workforce, and it's a great movie. But so I'm always hesitant to say, look, right now I agree, Ray. Right now I look at Vietnam and I go, I don't know what you have some great seafood. You got, a fun culture. For Americans, sort of a dark history that we don't like to talk about. Which, by the way, if you're watching from Vietnam, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I don't count them out. And Ray, I have said many times, the EV is the great reset. It is an equalizer of a lot of OEMs, and I do think a lot of people can pop up, and a lot of people can drop out. I'm not convinced that that Stellantis will make it all the way through. Maybe, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. So I think moving into the EV space is smarter than moving into the ICE space, where people are kind of set. Like, you already know you're going to want the Honda, the Toyota, the whatever your thing is. If you like fires, Hyundai. But whatever it is, that space is sort of there, where the EV space is sort of, people look around and go, okay, I'll try you, I'll try you, I'll try you, I'll try you.
Well, if we look at the 5 manufacturers, I think Polestar was the 5th that was on that list.
Yeah.
If you look at the 5, Rivian, Lucid, VinFast, Fisker, and Polestar, how many by percentage do you think will still be here in 5 years?
Of those 5?
Of those 5.
In 5 years, I would say, my guess, I'll let you answer next, Phil, but I would say in 5 years, I think Rivian will still be around. I know Polestar will still be around, and I think VinFast will be around. Fisker is on the. I want to see what Fisker delivers. If they don't deliver this month and it was all bluster, then I would count them out. If they do deliver, I think they have a shot. So I'm going to say, like, the majority of them in 5 years. In 10 years, my answer changes a little bit.
Okay. Phil?
I'm gonna say majority, because there's still still people investing cash into these companies. I don't think that they're going to let them fail. And I mean, look, I mean, Lucid and Rivian, in my opinion, they've got pretty good looking vehicles. And look, I'm not a complete 100% fan of EVs yet. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. But Rivian's got some decent looking vehicles. Lucid, I like Lucid because of the luxury, right? Like, their cars. I mean, if you're truly looking for a true luxury EV, that truly looks the part, that's them, right? But they're so expensive, right?
You could say damn.
And
you just can't say other words.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely see Polestar hanging around for sure, backed by Volvo, right? I would say most of these guys, aside from VinFast, I mean, the recall is gonna hurt them. I know someone in the comments was asking about what the recall was. It was the LCD panel. It would go out, or it wouldn't work, and it would provide relevant information, such as your speed, or any other relevant information in terms of the safety aspects of the vehicle. I'd say in 5 years, I think the whole list has a good chance of being around.
I personally, I think you'll see Polestar. You'll probably still see Rivian. I wouldn't be surprised if VinFast doesn't make it, only because of the nature of their start here in the country. I don't care how luxurious Lucid is. I don't think Lucid will make it, because I'm pretty sure Mercedes-Benz will make luxury EVs that
they already do.
Yeah,
and they're nicer than Lucid. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and so I think if you're looking for a luxury EV and you expect the manufacturer to still be around 5 or 10 years from now, Mercedes will be here. I don't think Lucid will. Fisker, I just think this is another one of Henrik Fisker's dreams, and he's had many of them, and the cars he produces are really interesting cars. They truly are, but they never seem to catch on, and it would be great if the Ocean did, but I wouldn't suspect that it would. I'm thinking, maybe 3 out of the 5 are still in existence 5 years from now. 10 years from now, maybe it's 2 out of the 5.
Yeah. So, and to your point, I was going to bring this up earlier, Bray, but with the Lucid thing, Mercedes and BMW, I think, are creating some extremely compelling luxury EVs. And Lucid, I don't think, is going to survive that. I will go farther than that and say, I do not think the Model S and X are going to survive Mercedes and BMW. I think Tesla discontinues both of those in less than 10 years, probably 5 to 6 years. I think they will completely stop building those models and concentrate on the lower end models and leave those luxury, because I've sat in a Mercedes EQS and then the BMW's EVs. I think they're actual luxury vehicles that have been electrified, and everyone knows I do not think S and X are luxury. I think they're premium. But if you're looking for luxury, you're not going to go the S and X route. So I see Tesla getting rid of those. Lucid won't stand up to them. I think those are the luxury players that are out now are still going to be the luxury players out later. Faraday, I don't. I tried to watch the Faraday launch. Sorry to say, I didn't understand everything that was being said, but it was so discombobulated to me. I just went like, I don't see Faraday. I don't see them getting off the ground. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a market for a $350,000 car, but I'm not seeing it from them.
It will be interesting to see the direction of a lot of these startups. And I think I said this to you once before. This reminds me of 1977, when in New Jersey, the voters voted to legalize casino gaming in Atlantic City only. And once that was done, there must have been 40 projects that were announced, 20 that might have been started out of those 40, 10 or 11 that actually got built. And some started actually putting up steel skeletons, and just when they ran out of money, and they just stood as these skeletons next to the boardwalk with nothing happening for years upon years upon years. So I think there's a lot of money that investors are willing to invest, but the percentage that actually make it is really considerably smaller than what these investors would hope.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. And Justice, I do agree with you about the luxury brands. Absolutely. And let's not leave out, let's not forget that we do have some other luxury brands. We have Cadillac. That is
I was just going to say, I forgot that. Yep.
To be fully electrified, I don't know, by like 2030, 35, something like that, right? Those vehicles that they do have coming out, I'm quite impressed with. The Lyric, it's pretty impressive, right? The Escalade that was just recently announced, they're gonna go electric with that car. The Celestique, I think is how you say it.
Celestique, yep.
Is Celestique for $300,000, a completely customized vehicle that is hand built. I believe they're only making maybe a couple hundred of them, if that. But anyway, my point is that I wanted to agree with that fact. A lot of these startups, they do have a rough road ahead, and they need to be able to get out into market and to be able to gain the trust of the consumer. So not only do they need to be able to provide a product that's going to be attainable, but also they need to get the trust of the consumer, right? Because they're not backed by Mercedes, they're not backed by BMW, they're not backed by GM, Ford, all the big guys that we all come to know or that we've known forever, right? So like they have a long road ahead there. And I think the 10-year mark, or going into 10 years, Ray, agree. Maybe a couple of them are gonna make it. I think in the very short term, they're gonna be throwing money at this. And I think they're gonna keep trying, right? But maybe some are gonna be bought by others. Maybe Ford's gonna buy someone. Maybe GM's gonna buy someone. Who knows, right? But yeah. So
look at all the money that Ford and GM are making hand over fist right now. They're in the position to buy somebody.
Right.
But to your point, Phil, like the competition is harder. When Tesla came out, you had the Chevy Bolt and Nissan Leaf, but realistically, they were the only players in the game. And now they're the big guys. But you have people like Hyundai Kia, who Ray and I have discussed this before, who wouldn't buy their ICE vehicles to save my life. But their EVs sure are nice. They sure are really good EV. I went and looked at the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 over the weekend. I got to test drive both. They sure are really nice vehicles that I would not mind buying. So again, rewriting their stars, you have big companies with deep pockets and established names in the game now that are coming through. And you have, where is it? You have Igor here talking about the new Edison truck, which is the EF1T, I think it's called, which is, for those of you who don't know that truck, it is that one right there.
Oh, wow.
Which is a nice truck that's coming out. I agree. Fascinated by that. That could be a good player in the game. We'll see how that all goes. But there's so much competition right now from good big players that I agree some of these startups are probably going to get swallowed. And talking about rewriting their stars, Cadillac, Phil, you're right. Like I feel bad for not having mentioned them before, but you're right. In the luxury space, Cadillac can really make that comeback to make their name mean something again in this space.
Yes. And I saw Igor, nothing against what you're saying, but the Cadillac Lyric, I'm not so sure that it's overpriced. I think if you look at the luxury space and for what that car looks like and what it provides, comparing to the Mercedes, Now, look, if you're going into a $150,000 BMW or Mercedes in one of their EVs, come on, I'm going to expect something way over the top on that. I think Cadillac Lyric for what they've done for around, I think it's like right around the $50,000-$60,000 mark. I mean, look at Lucid. You know, they're not even a Cadillac brand or even a high end luxury brand, and they're putting cars out at 60, 70, 80 grand. I'm not so sure that it's overpriced. I think it's right where it probably should be.
And I just want to answer Jarrett here real fast. Yeah, bigots should fail in America. Yeah, bigots should fail. I do know what you mean, but I'm not going to let that go. We're just going to say,
Lord.
just because I know what you mean doesn't mean I'm going to acknowledge it. But
I
yes,
think you just did.
And Igor agrees with you, Phil. Like, and I
Thank
agree.
you, Igor.
Like,
Thank you.
because you're not talking a $40,000 luxury, Mercedes, right? It's competing in that high space, so it makes sense there, and that market exists.
And that's
those people
the price
are out there
range for a Cadillac. I mean, if you look at overall what the Cadillac brand sells and their average transaction prices, to look at a $60,000 EV that just came out, I'd say it's pretty well priced. Just my opinion.
No, I agree, and Cadillac still holds that name. I was most surprised when we were all debating Obamacare, and the president back then said, the Cadillac healthcare plans, meaning the top tier echelon. And I went, oh, okay, so the Cadillac name is still out there in the ether and floating around as meaning that top tier thing. So if Cadillac can recapitalize on that, good for them, because it's still out there. So they still have a bit of a name push behind them that they can run with this.
Well, there were two American brands that when people thought of luxury, they thought of Cadillac and they thought of Lincoln. Those were the two higher end, top end American manufactured luxury vehicles. Not necessarily in the same class as what Mercedes-Benz was building or what BMW was building on the luxury side of things, or Rolls-Royce or whoever. But those were the brands that were considered the pinnacle in this country when it came to luxury.
True.
Yeah. And where's Lincoln now?
Well,
but Cadillac still has that air about them. So, I mean, for some of us, I think you say Cadillac, and I think, oh yeah, my grandparents had one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it still kind of has that.
Not quite like Oldsmobile.
Yes.
But it's still
Lincoln just hasn't. They haven't been the luxury brand that wants to compete with the Germans. So they've never been able to really do that. And I don't really think that has ever really been a business model for them. So Cadillac, it certainly has. Yes. They've really done a good job of producing well thought out sedans that actually do compete directly with the Germans. And while still a great luxury brand, they're just not the old luxury anymore.
Yeah, well, I will say this on an anecdotal note. I have done several Cadillac deals in the almost 3 years I've been here. I've never done a single Lincoln deal. Not one.
Yeah,
I've never had one come across, not even it's not even come across the desk, nothing. So, I mean, and I have a few of those. I've also never done a Mitsubishi deal. But
I've seen a couple of those.
You're not missing much.
No. But just anecdotally, I look at those and there are certain brands that just never come across. When someone said Lincoln is falling and Buick is rising, I have done a few Buick deals. actually. So I mean, now grant you, we don't operate in the upper echelon space,
Yes.
although I've done a lot of Corvette deals, and I do a lot of Escalade deals. So I mean, we do in some of that space, but we deal mainly in the affordable vehicle space. Right, but you know, I do look at that and go, yeah, Lincoln. Like I've never seen even anyone reference them in vehicles they're looking at.
You know, when you were when Zach had the office on Wisconsin Avenue, which he gave up that office space, but right across the street from the office, Coon's organization built a standalone Lincoln dealership, and I kept thinking to myself, why would you make that investment? I understand you're in Bethesda, Maryland. You're outside of Washington, D.C. There's money in this area, but that money isn't going to Lincoln products. You know, the people with money are buying Mercedes Benz and BMWs. Those are two of the German brand, Audi. Those are markets that are some of the strongest markets for those brands in the country. And I just cannot for the life of me understand how somebody at that organization said, yeah, we need to build a standalone Lincoln dealership on Wisconsin Avenue in Bethesda, Maryland, where there's no parking and there's no real space to display. And you don't need to display cars because ain't nobody coming in to buy one. I just
it's true.
I just for the life of me I could not figure that one out. But maybe they needed a good tax write-off for they needed a loss to offset some of their profits from the other aspects of their organization.
Phil, was that the one that we walked by that was never open when we were in there?
Yeah, it was right across the street.
Yeah. I think it was the one we walked by. You know what?
Yes,
six times.
Yes,
six times a day for 4 days.
And I was like,
nobody was ever there. Not one person.
I mean,
it was
is this
never
really a
open.
dealership?
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it, I'm like, there's never anyone in there. We did see a security guard once. But it was always closed. We're just kind of like, why are you here? Why do you exist? What is the point?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
They closed the Ruth's Chris Steakhouse so they can build that damn Lincoln dealership there. I didn't get it. I still don't get it.
Yeah. I don't understand that either.
Yes.
Nope.
I agree, Susanna. Sounds like money laundering.
I don't know that organization needs to launder money. It's pretty big group.
There's certainly tax implications involved.
I would think.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what time it is?
It is time to plug tomorrow night's show, and
absolutely,
then for you to go eat.
Yes. Are we doing a show tomorrow night? Aren't we doing some type of special show tomorrow night? Isn't there a car coaches takeover on
I heard something like that, right? I mean, certainly Zach's not going to be on the show, right?
He's going to moderate, but he's not going to be on the show. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, but we're gonna be on. We're gonna take it over. We're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about great things, not so great things. Go over some deals. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
That's what
Mario's going to break down and walk us through a full lease deal and how to analyze that and how to look at that. Ray's going to ask some great insightful questions. Hopefully, he always does. Phil is going to break down some car finance deals and show us what to look for, what's good, what's bad, how does that go? We're going to show you all how the sausage is made tomorrow night. Everything that the car coaches do to help you find a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
I speak on behalf of my son when I say this. Um, we're both so thankful that everybody that's involved in doing this wants to participate in this, wants to put this out there, wants to reveal what's behind the curtain. There's not much, but like I said on our video yesterday, sharing is caring, and this is our way of sharing how we do things, how this team does things, um, and how that leads to caring for our community and our members. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know that I will be able to add much because nobody can break down a lease quite like Mario can. He is.
He's so he really gets into every bit of it because he's
Yes,
very analytical like that, and we love
exactly.
Mario for that. We
Yeah.
love
Yes,
him for it.
Yeah.
yes,
and
absolutely.
and it's so great to be able to get into detail about that. It's so educational because a lease is so multifaceted and it's so confusing to most consumers. And I'm looking forward to Mario being able to explain that.
I'll
Yeah.
share something with you, Phil.
hmm
It is equally as confusing to most salespeople at dealerships.
You
Okay,
are absolutely correct.
I can tell you that from experience. I literally had to bring a lease expert in to hold classes for our sales staff so that they would finally have an understanding of what a lease is, how it's constructed. I am not the great communicator when it comes to trying to explain a lease to somebody. But the salespeople, most salespeople have no idea.
You are
None.
absolutely
Zip,
correct.
zero.
I hate to say this, and this isn't for every salesperson, but to your point, Ray, there's that. There is still salespeople that don't know what they're selling. They
Exactly.
don't they don't have any details about the product. There are times, I mean, I know I'm into cars, right? But I mean, I will come in and I will share things that they have no idea is
Mhm.
going on within the car. And I if I remember way back when, and I wasn't working at a dealership way back when, but Ray, you were. Um, Salespeople were not necessarily hired to sell the product. There wasn't much product knowledge. There wasn't much information about financing. All they were a middleman between the customer and the desk.
Yes.
And I feel like even today there's some of that, but there are more dealerships now that are empowering their salespeople
As
to
well
do
they
the
should.
deal from beginning to end. Would love to
Yes.
see more of that.
Unless they're selling EVs, then forget it. They still aren't training them worth crap.
I understood.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yep.
John, come over to the show tomorrow. Zach and I will be pulling up comments for the guys to answer as well. So yeah, some great questions there. I'm sure we can answer that. And for Jarrett, it is actually at 4 p.m. Pacific, which is midnight in Limerick.
Wow. So wait, so what time are we doing the show
Okay.
tomorrow?
That would be 4 Pacific,
So that would
7
be 7 Eastern. Okay,
Eastern.
just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure. Okay. Yes. Yes.
And
You know,
midnight in Lyric.
I've thought about going to Lyric. Yeah, that's great.
I'm going next year, just so you know, Phil. I'm taking vacation with my sisters next year, and we're going to Limerick because that is where our family is from Limerick.
Wow.
Okay. Awesome.
Will you come back
You
with
should.
one?
With Limerick, I got some
Yes.
limericks right now.
Yeah, I have some, but I can't tell them
yeah.
on air.
Oh, do they have to be? Yeah, if they have to be clean, then never mind.
Yeah,
Most of
something about
mine revolve around people from Nantucket.
well, yeah,
So
it's something about in days of old when knights were bold. But
yeah,
that I can't go any further than that. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay,
thank
I'm
you
looking
guys.
forward to it.
And I'm definitely looking forward tomorrow. I will be producing. I will not be on screen, so even better for everybody. You don't have to listen to me. You get to listen to Ray, Phil, and Mario tomorrow. So thank you for being here, Phil. Thank you for all your lithium mining expertise today. We really appreciate it.
It was a wealth of it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure every single person in here was enlightened today by my knowledge of lithium batteries.
I know I was.
Yeah. So we will see everyone back on Tuesday, where we'll be talking about something with somebody. I don't know.
Okay, I'll be there.
Me too. Bye, everybody.
See you all
Bye, guys.
tomorrow.